This is rappelling 101, but for rescue, so rescue rappelling. So some key points I'll try to cover, general rules as we go. These are going to be my lines that I'm going to rappel on, and I've rigged these up for a specific way to show you the options of what you can rappel on. They're both static lines. The terminal ends of my lines, I always want to tie stopper knots. You can't see them, but you always want stopper knots in the end of your lines. So I'm going to start on the red. We want our ropes high in general so that we can negotiate the edge and get a better descent angle on the edge transition. That'll ease the forces in our system. So two ways we can do that. We can tie in high with a fixed line, and this is bomber, it's not going anywhere, but you can imagine if this was like a smaller tree, maybe it would be suspect, because every foot above the ground that you tie, you increase the torque on the base by about 100%. So what we did is simulated a back tie. I want to intertwine this somehow. A quick way to do this is just to clip in and back tie to a stronger anchor point lower, further back. So now the force that I descend with through my descender here is transmitted here through the back tie, and it doesn't want to yard this thing over. The alternative, in a better way, in my opinion, is to, let's say this is, again, a small tree or something, I rig it as a directional, and now there's a resultant force that's not creating this thing to torque over on itself. I can descend through the directional straight down, and the tension force is transmitted through directional to the anchor back there, but the net force on the tree, in this case, like, again, this is super bomber, I don't have to do this, but it's pointed down in that direction. These heights at these angles over an edge will help me negotiate the edge a lot easier. They'll decrease the forces that I have to see on my body as I negotiate that edge. This is what I want to do every time. I have my static line I'm going to rappel on, and whenever we rappel for rescue or we descend, it's always a two-rope system. There's no static line or not. One's a static line because you're rappelling on it. So I rappel on this line, I need a backup. A couple ways I can do this backup. Ideally, mobile fall arrest, because it makes it a lot easier if I can just worry about descending and have this travel with me. If I don't have one of these, I'd have to use a Prusik, which is less than ideal. I'll show you why. In my opinion, having a Prusik backup on a static line when you're trying to rappel, personally I just think it's more dangerous in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I can do 2 or 3 wrap. It doesn't matter for a single person. But for consistency's sake, I'm just going to do 3 wrap. And let's think about what I've done here. I need to tend this, but I have to control the descender with my brake hand. I have to use the lever with another hand. That's 2 hands already. I need to find somebody to tend this with the fingers of my lever hand. That's why it's so dangerous. And in hindsight, I probably should have rigged this descender on this side and put the backup on this side to make it easier. So you'll see what happens when I tie in. The backup's always from the sternal, right here. And if I descend, I have to get this over to me, and I have to tend this with my fingers. Can you zoom in and see that? As I go down, like, if I don't have these, if these ropes are oriented this way, this is over here, I have to rig this ID over here and this Prusik on that line, and I have to tend this with my fingers as I descend, and you really don't have much control, and it's really unsafe in my opinion. So what I recommend is, if you don't have the mobile fall arrest ASAP or something else, simply take your backup line terminal end, tie it into yourself, and have somebody else belay you. That's an independent team belay. This would be an independent self belay. And talk about other aspects when we don't have high directionals or high exit points for our rappel, and our forces our ropes are on the ground, how we can negotiate that a little bit better. So let's de-rig this. These are contingency anchors. The universal sign that it's a contingency and it's locked off. Just do an overhand or 2 half hitches, doesn't matter. Maestros are auto locking, so I don't need to do this. This is just that universal symbol that tells everybody, hey, these lines are locked off, we've intentionally let them go. So this is called contingency. It means that they can be used to lower me down, but I'm treating them as static anchors. And so we do this a lot with training, or if we think that we're going to purpose it out for something else later on. So right now everything's locked off. What's good about having these ropes down low is that whatever torque effect, I mean, this is a wall, but if it's a tree, it's less torque that it's going to see at the base. That's a pro. The con, or the downside, is, if you follow me out, I have no descent angle out here. And so it makes transitioning over this edge very difficult if you don't have a good technique down. And so I see a lot of people struggling to kind of get themselves in position because they're making a lot of more work out of this ID. They clip in and they're ready to go, and it's time to get back in position. And what they end up doing is like they weight the system, and then they try to release this handle, and they're fighting themselves as they try to get into position. You don't need to do that. You're making it harder for yourself. Let's think about what these things are really doing. I need to get myself in position, and the handle only applies when I'm under full body weight to release, if I'm suspended. If it's not under full body weight, I don't need to. I just take my fingers, get the handle so that the cam is loose, and I can manipulate the cam with my thumb. And so what this looks like when I back up is I just put my thumb on and I just walk back, and the rope feeds out. It makes it a lot smoother for me to get in position. So I can't forget my backup. Some more rules. Never rappel something that you can't climb back up. If you're doing this for rescue, always a backup in addition to your main static one. And you want to get as low as possible. And I'm gonna crawl my way over the edge. And we always want edge protection as a best practice. Even though this is a rounded edge, I don't quite need it, but it's always good to have it if you have the means and the ability. Protect your ropes, especially if they're not moving. I don't want this ID to hang me up as I try to get over the edge. This is about as far as it'll go. And I'm perfectly comfortable giving myself a little bit more slack so that I can just use, just jungle gym this over the edge and then weight it and adjust it after I've made that transition. I want to get low. You see people a lot of times that just want to stand straight up and lean back. That exponentially increases the forces on your anchor. So I crawl over low. I gauge where this is, right? So here, so I've cleared right there. Now I'm going to pull some in. Oh yeah, so you gotta watch out for those teeth there. They engage sometimes. It keeps you from being able to do that. So about right there, that's kind of what I want. Okay. Take all the tension out. Ease into it. Drop yourself in. Let that rope guide into that track on the edge. And then get that edge forward. Okay. So you can come in a little bit. Not so worried about my backup. So what I have here is I've cleared the Edge Pro by giving myself a little bit of slack. I don't want too much because I don't want to fall and shock load my system, but I want to be able to clear the Edge Pro and the edge on my device. And now from here, if you look where my knees are, when I initially crawled over and made that transition, I mount with my knees, so I'm tight and close. From here, I can take my time and then get ready to kind of kick myself back out in that L shape and then descend. And then walk myself down the slope, just like that.